welcome to Ecoholics. Today in this video, we are going to learn about a very important microeconomics concept, which is the opportunity cost. While learning in economics, students tend to cram up a lot of definitions. But economics is not about cramming these definitions. Instead, economics is to start learning how economists think. Now, the concept of opportunity cost is actually the starting point of all that thought, all that thinking process. So, let us begin learning about this interesting concept. The very first thing that we are going to learn is that how we usually misinterpret this term. Opportunity cost is one term that often gets miscommunicated and misinterpreted by students. Now, students usually would think that, okay, I understand this concept very well. This concept is clear in my mind. However, while writing answers, they usually tend to write that concept synonymously with some other terminology, because of which they would lose marks. So, which is why we are going to learn in depth and with clarity about this concept, and I'll also give you a very interesting example of opportunity cost. So, first let's start with the definition. What is opportunity cost? Usually when we write definitions, we understand opportunity cost as the value of next best alternative foregone. Foregone means sacrificed. Okay? When a choice is made under scarcity of resources. Now, scarcity of resources, we'll come to it in the next slide. But first, let's put focus on the next best alternative concept. Now, this is that concept where students actually misinterpret. I'll give you an example. Let's say you have 5 options to do things. Okay, let's say that you want to become or you want to make a choice in profession. You want to pick a profession. Okay, now when you are picking a profession, you have 5 choices to make. Either you can be a performer, or you can be an engineer, or you can be a civil servant, or you can be maybe a scientist, okay, or you can be somewhere teaching children, okay, you can be an educator like me. Now, out of these choices, you have to pick one, because the starting point of whatever you would pick as a profession, you have to start something, you have to pick something first. You cannot be everything all at once, okay? Usually you must have seen that there are famous people. Let's say if you talk about Adam Smith or Karl Marx or any other economist, you would see that you write about them as Karl Marx, who was a philosopher and a mathematician and an economist thinker and a sociologist. So all of these terminologies came later on. First off, he started with something that he chose to be, something that he chose to become. So you also have to make a choice first. And then from that step, you have to start moving ahead. Now, in concept of opportunity cost, we say that the value of the next best alternative sacrificed or foregone. This is not just about choice. This is about the cost foregone. So, next thing that students make mistakes in writing is they usually just think that opportunity cost is equal to trade-off. Okay? They say that opportunity cost is equal to trade-off. Okay? Trade-off. Now, trade-off means you are making a choice. But opportunity cost is not just making a choice. Opportunity cost is the value foregone. So, it is not equal to trade-off. Instead, opportunity cost is the effect of trade-off. Now, this is one very important point that usually is missed by students where they lose marks. Okay, so what do we learn over here? That opportunity cost is the value of the next best alternative foregone. Now, I gave you 5 options. Okay, you have 5 options, out of which you have to pick one. Now, when you pick one, 5 minus 4, you picked one. Now, how many remaining choices? 4. Okay, so opportunity cost of all the 4 options, all the 4 alternatives? No. Opportunity cost will be the value of the one of the 4. The best out of this remaining 4. That will be the opportunity cost. You have to understand that if you are choosing one decision or one choice out of the 5 alternatives that you have, so it means that you are going to forego the next best alternative, and that next best alternative is not the aggregate of all of these 4 decisions, all of these 4 choices. It is one of the remaining 4. So the next best of what you could have chosen among these 4 options is the value of the opportunity cost. Okay, now once you understand this, let's move to the next part of the definition. Now, just to give you a glimpse of it, in this definition, we saw the choices made under scarcity of resources. So now let's understand what do we mean by scarcity. When we talk about opportunity cost, we are talking about choices that we make. But why are we making these choices? Because resources are scarce. We all know that whether we talk about economic resources, what all are economic resources that we talk about usually? Land, labor, capital or money, even time. Yes, all of these resources are scarce and they are getting exhausted with a certain speed, at a certain speed in a time period. Now, resources are scarce, but human wants are resources are scarce, but human wants are unlimited. Now, when the human wants are unlimited, we have to make a choice as humans to pick the resources. Day before yesterday, I was teaching my environmental economics students about resources, and we were discussing about these resources being natural resources which are divided into exhaustible and renewable resources. Yes, renewable and non-renewable resources. So I asked them that you all know about renewable resources and non-renewable resources. These non-renewable resources are going to get exhausted. Okay, they cannot be renewed in the human time period. Yes, like coal or petroleum or fossil fuels that we talk about usually, or metals, minerals, ores. All of these are going to get exhausted at a certain time period. Yes, but what about these renewable resources? Can they get exhausted? So some students said that no, they can't get exhausted. They are not. They are renewable. How will they get exhausted? But then I said that imagine that there is a beautiful piece of land where there is green, lush green grass growing. Okay, and there are 50-60 herdsmen. They take their cattle to that land for grazing. Okay. Now, cattle is grazing all day, all night, right? Why? Because that resource is renewable, so the grasses is going to grow. But if the cattle is left over that land unwatched, non-regulated, then what is going to happen? That renewable resource is not going to receive the replenishment time. Even if that grass grows in 1 or 2 days, 1 or 2 days are also not given by the cattle because they are just grazing on that land. Now, what will happen because of that? Because of the overgrazing, that land is not going to receive the replenishment time for the grass to grow again, which will lead to deterioration of grass, and the whole concept of renewability is going to get lost. So when we say resources are scarce, It is true. It's not just with the non-renewable resources, it is with the renewable resources also, which is why under the scarcity definition that we study in economics in 11th and 12th grade, we study that resources are scarce, which should be utilized judiciously for the utilization of or for vanquishing the unlimited wants of humans, right? Now, when we talk about opportunity cost with scarcity, we do talk about it because opportunity cost terminology exists because of the choice. Imagine that the resources were unlimited. If the resources were unlimited, we could choose any time, anything, at any quantity, at any for any multiple units. So it would just be the human wants would be unlimited and the resources would also be unlimited. So which means that opportunity cost concept would have never been come across, and the problem of scarcity would also not be there. And when the problem of scarcity would not be there, so obviously the concept of economics also would have not been there. So to understand economics, to understand scarcity, we need to understand this concept, right? Now moving to the next thing that we have is the example of opportunity cost. When we talk about this example is very classic example that I want to give. Imagine that one student takes a leap of faith and invests to choose in this preparation of Indian Economic Service examination, okay, instead of going for a private job after the college ends. So all the other people in the peer group, they are taking up private jobs while at different packages, while this student, he says or she says that no, I'm gonna prepare for the Indian Economic Service examination and I'm taking the leap of faith. Now, what is this student sacrificing or foregoing? Let's say that if there was a choice or there had been a choice with that particular student who was preparing for IES instead of a private job. So if there was a choice that he or she had made, now what was the other thing? What was the other choice that was presented before him or her? It was a private job. That private job was offering 8 lakhs per annum as a salary. This was the best alternative or the next best alternative after this choice. So this is the first choice and this is the second choice. The first choice has been selected over and above the second choice by the student, and the opportunity cost is the amount that is foregone as remuneration. Now, many students think that, okay, the Indian Economic Service preparation would require so much of time and energy and suffering and peer pressure and social pressures, and because it's a UPSC level examination, so obviously it would be very stressful. All of that is also opportunity cost? No. Clear? No. In economics, we only consider quantitative valuation of the choices that we have foregone. We do not include those emotions and feelings because we are making rational decision of choosing for the preparation of Indian Economic Service exam. So as a rational person making a choice, we have to only look at the next best alternative as the value of something that we have foregone. Okay, so this is that the student has foregone, and that will be the opportunity cost for that student. Okay. Now, very common traps that students usually find themselves in while writing answers. Now, there are so many terminologies synonymously used. I often, while evaluating papers, mock tests for IES, RBI, DPR and many other exams, I usually see this, that students, instead of writing opportunity cost, they have written sunk cost or accounting cost or some other cost synonymously, which should not be at all used. So once for all, I'm going to tell you, bust the myth, what all these things are and how they are different from opportunity cost. You have understood till now what exactly we are talking about, what exactly is opportunity cost. But let's understand what are these. Sunk cost, as the name suggests, is the expenditure which has been done. So you were, let's say, producing something, or you have, let's say you are a student, okay, and you are studying, you are going to give 10th standard board examination, okay. Now, all of the expenditure that you have done for your textbooks, for your coaching, or for your tuition, or for your preparation of the 10th boards, all of that expenditure which is already done, that is called as sunk cost. You cannot retrieve it back. Bygones are bygones. So that is the sunk cost. For a company, for a manufacturing unit, any expenditure which is done on raw material, on labor to produce something, okay. So once the good is produced, once the service is produced, whatever expenditure has gone into the production, that all is sunk cost. We cannot retrieve that back, right? So that's the sunk cost. And sunk cost is synonymously used as past expenses. Past expenses means historical expenses. Whatever historically expenditure has happened by anybody which is done, that is past expenses, okay. When we talk about economics and in economics, basically we talk about future expenditure, how it should be made judiciously. So we don't talk about past expenses over here, okay. Again, this is also not opportunity cost. Then emotional cost. So usually students mix the feelings of anxiety, of depression, of demotivation with their preparation cost, which is completely wrong. Emotional cost, or what you feel, or what you're quantifying as emotional cost, is your own feeling, your own perception. Maybe it is coming from the preconceived notion about an examination, or it is just some kind of anxiety that you are not able to present, because of which you are getting demotivated. But all of that is a cause of not following a proper schedule, not following proper habits. However, if we talk about preparation, if you're talking about preparation of any examination, the emotional cost is always put aside, and the cost associated with preparation is always with respect to what you are achieving and what all materialistic things you are bringing to the table, so that you can absorb them, absorb the learning, what all learnings you are taking, how you are communicating with your mentors, what are your schedules like, okay. So like I told you, economics is rational. Economics is how rationally we think, and which is why we do not include this in opportunity cost concept, okay. And accounting cost. Accounting cost is actually the cost that is written in books of accounts. Yes, books of accounts, you all know the profit and loss account, okay, where we write about the expenditures, the receivings, the receipts, okay. That is books of accounts, where we write about the actual expenses happened, actual benefits, or actual, we can say, profits made. Opportunity cost does not fit even here, because opportunity cost is not the actual expenditure. It is the value foregone, value which has been sacrificed. So again, it does not fit here. So do not make a common mistake of writing any of these terminologies instead of opportunity cost. Otherwise, you're going to lose marks. I have seen multiple of times students don't lose marks in highly competitive examination because they don't know a formula or they don't know a concept. It's actually because they don't think like an examiner. And that's the reason why they lose marks. So start thinking from another angle, start thinking like an examiner, like an economist. You will start, finding sensibility and economics logic in everything that you're doing, right? Now, why economists think differently? Because I'm talking to you about how you have to think like an economist. So I'm going to teach you how this opportunity cost concept is infused in all of these decision-making bodies. Firstly, if I talk about budget allocation, when you say that the government has not allocated budget for a certain sector, why? Because the government has made a choice to allocate a certain budget, which means a certain amount of expenditure will be done for a certain sector. Let's say a sector A, which can be agriculture sector or manufacturing or industry or service sector, any XYZ sector. So the allocation of resources is actually told by the budget. Okay, whenever the budget comes, when you see that, okay, the R&D sector, the research and development sector has received this much amount of budget, while education sector has been given this much amount, while the medical sector or the service sector has been given this much amount. Now, this means that for the fiscal year of that particular fiscal year, the government has decided upon these different numbers or these different amounts of budget with a choice that they have made. But why did they make that choice is where once they are choosing something, they have to forego something else, because the budget is limited. How individuals think of their own household budgets, it's exactly how the governments think about the whole country's budget. Whole country requires welfare. Each and every sector requires welfare. But that welfare cannot come simultaneously in all sectors because the budget is limited. So the government has to strategize on choosing and making very economic, logic-oriented choices. And those choices come from the opportunity cost concept. Now, if I tell you, the opportunity cost concept is derived from the concept of trade-off, okay? And that concept of trade-off is usually from the concept, here you have, let's say, commodity X, and here you have commodity Y. Let's say, imagine that there are two commodities which are being produced in an economy in a year, hypothetically. Okay. Now, these commodities are produced along the curve which is called as the PPC curve. This PPC curve means the production possibility curve or production possibility frontier. This production possibility frontier is the constitution of all those points on this curve, okay, where the curve talks about the combination of two goods produced in the economy in a particular year, okay. So this curve is nothing but a combination of two goods, okay. All the points along this curve will talk about different combination of good X and good Y. Now, if you see carefully, if I say that this much amount of good X, okay, and this much amount of good Y has to be produced. So let's say that okay. Now along this curve, let's say that I select one point. Okay, I select a point. Let's say this is the point A. Okay. Now, if I draw horizontal and vertical lines across this curve, okay, so I get OX1 amount of good X produced and OY1 amount of good Y produced. Okay. Now, if I move ahead and I want to produce more amount of good X, so what will happen? If I choose this point, I am choosing OX2 amount of good X, but I have to sacrifice on Y. So I can now only produce OY2 amount of good Y, while I am selecting OX2 amount of good X. So what does this mean? This orange line that I have made over here along points A and B, this is the slope of the PPC curve. Okay. So what do we know from this statement? That opportunity cost is what? Opportunity cost is the slope of PPC. The slope of PPC is the opportunity cost. Okay. The trade-off is that we chose point B over point A, or we chose more of X instead of Y. So that's the trade-off that we made. Opportunity cost is that when we selected more of X, we had to sacrifice some of Y, and that is what is opportunity cost. Okay. Now, when we talk about policy choices that the government makes, so we say that in certain sectors, let's say in agriculture sector, there are so many policies, and some of my students usually say that, ma'am, in agriculture sector there's so many policies, where agriculture sector in India right now does not gain does not contribute to the national income as service sector is contributing. So why service sector does not have so many policies? Now, for India, agriculture sector is still a very important pivotal sector, because we have plethora of population to feed, and we are not the country which eats frozen food. We are the country which eats fresh farm food, and because of that we want our farms to live, because most of our population still is engaged in agricultural activities. Still much of our population is engaged in agricultural activities, the primary sector of our nation, which is why our agriculture sector still has high sensitivity, and which is why it should benefit from all the policies that the government is making. So the government again chooses wisely, makes decision of choice where the policy, where the allocation of resources must go. Even as an individual, when you make investment decisions, where should I put my money? Should I put it in a savings account or a fixed deposit or a post office deposit or an SIP or a mutual fund with a flexi cap, or where should I put my money so that I can invest, okay, or a business? So many decisions are there, out of which an individual chooses one according to their own comfort, according to their own understanding of economics. Again, we talk about opportunity cost. So again, individual is talking about opportunity cost. They are thinking from that angle, what is the next best thing that I am foregoing after choosing this alternative? Okay, so with these thoughts, you should be aware about how opportunity cost is deeply ingrained in our choices of what we make every day. After the analysis, after understanding about this concept, almost all various topics that we learn in economics, whether it is microeconomics or macroeconomics or Indian economy or international economics, you will be much aware and will start understanding more about these various subjects in depth. Okay, so that's why this concept is of so much value. Now I'm gonna be bringing to you many such concepts on daily basis, whether it is from microeconomics or macroeconomics or growth and development or international economics or any other any other topics of economics. Till then, stay tuned to our channel Ecoholics and mention in the comments below what did you understand about opportunity cost. Thank you.